My brothers and sisters, this month I'd like to talk to you about two things. First of all, I'd like to introduce you to someone, a woman called Dame Maria Boulding, who was a Benedictine nun who died in Britain last year. Dame Maria Boulding worked for many years as a theologian, translating the works of St. Augustine and writing books about him. But she was also a great Latin expert, and that's why she ended up getting a role in being involved in the translation of the Missal, this new translation which will be fully introduced by the end of the year. They say that when you come to the celebration of the Easter Vigil and read the great hymn that we sing at the Easter Vigil, the Exultet, you'll see Dame Maria Boulding's hand in a very clear way. It was very much her project, and they say that the translation she's produced is beautiful and lyrical and really expresses our Easter faith in a wonderful way. But she wrote this book just before she died of cancer in the last 6 months of her life, and it's all about the risen Lord and about his role in our life and how he accompanies us on our journey. She writes very beautifully about the fact that the great model of our life is the journey of the two disciples on Easter Day towards Emmaus, and Jesus travelling along as their companion, and they're listening to him as he explained to them the scriptures about himself, and then he's sharing the Eucharistic meal with them and disappearing from their sight. She said, this is not just the story about them, it's the story about all of us, that wherever we go, whatever we do, that the risen Lord is present with us and he loves us and cares for us. Dame Maria herself became a nun by accident. She said that there was no great revelation or extraordinary religious phenomenon about her becoming a nun. She said she was sitting in a window one day looking at the rain out over the fields where she lived, eating a crumpet with honey, and all of a sudden realised that God wanted her to be a nun. She figured that this mundane way of coming to this awareness probably meant that it wasn't true, and that if she entered the convent eventually they'd say to her, you should leave, you're not really meant to be one of us. But it turned out that that was her life, and in the monastic life she lived with the risen Lord in that incredibly trying and difficult way, which is part of the contemplative way of being a Catholic Christian. So Dame Maria, although hidden away in the Benedictine Abbey for so long, has been able through her work, and especially the contribution that she's made to the new Missal, to influence all of us as we go through our lives. The second point that I want to make is that when we talk about vocations to the priesthood and religious life, we have a big responsibility to do all that we can to ask the Lord to grace people like Dame Maria Boulding with the awareness that he's calling them to serve him in a special way as priests, as religious brothers and sisters. Our responsibility, which has been admirably lived out in this archdiocese, is to pray to the Lord that he will influence the people in our midst this way, that through grace they'll come to know that they are called to do this work, to be his special disciples and his special witnesses in the world. And it's been tremendous in our archdiocese that people have been so faithful to this ministry for such a long time. And that's the reason why that in this world today we have so many candidates for the priesthood in our archdiocese, so many young people from our community who are studying to be priests in other places, and young women who are entering religious life, not necessarily in Adelaide, but travelling around the world to enter convents and communities and so on. It's this prayer and this companioning. The way that we do it is by being companions of prayer and of faith to people. The way that we're faithful to our lives is the way that we can influence others to be aware of the fact that the Lord is calling them. So, as we just celebrated the ordination of our new priest, Father Peter Zvans, it's an opportunity for us to thank the Lord for this gift, but also an opportunity for us to renew our efforts to pray for those people in our midst whom the Lord is calling, that maybe one day when they look through a window and maybe they're eating a crumpet, they'll come to realise that the Lord has special work for them to do, and they'll have the courage to do it.